we are told that it's not okay to talk about this stuff. It just happens. You just put up with it and you move on with your life. And as women, we develop a cloak around ourselves that the world cannot always see, but it not only prevents us, it can in some way shield us from danger, but at the same time, it also distracts us from being allowed to realize our full potential. And it's really difficult to come up with the language. That's what we've discovered. How do you talk about this? And we're constantly being cautioned to talk about it in a way that doesn't offend men, that doesn't offend women. Well, if at some point you don't start getting real about what rape is and the fact that rape is rape and you can't really find another word for it and be able to say it, you can't really address the issues that Truth is Beauty really represents. That is the challenge for women, and we can see how powerful it is that we look at ourselves, that we empower ourselves, that we reach as tall as Deja Solis did and say, I'm finding myself now. I'm stretching myself as tall as I can, and I'm not going to let my scars hold me back. Light the candles and start the drumbeat, literally the whisper that will grow into crescendo. What would the world be like if women were safe?
What? I could always sculpt. I didn't have to learn how to do it. It was just something that was, my first sculpture was just as good as I am now. It was like always in there. And so I had to decide what to do with that ability. Because it really is just like handed, a gift handed to me. And I got to do something profound with it, right? Didn't want to be an artist because it's a terrible life, broke and depressed. I was working at a company that built amusement park rides, and they were doing a sculpture, and I thought, this is just terrible. And I told him, this is just awful. And he goes, what, can you do better? I said, yeah, I can do better. And so whipped something up, and they said, okay, you really can do this. My daughter was born, and I realized I was already broke and depressed, even though I wasn't an artist, and I might as well just go for it. Especially because I felt like I needed to tell her that, my daughter, that you can do what you are here to do. You don't have to compromise. And that sort of set me off on the path. When I was 7, a friend of mine who was 9 got pulled off the street right in front of my house by a stranger and got raped. And
to hear, first of all, why he created her resonated with me on a personal level, because I also have been, I'm also a survivor of rape. Happened at a BART station in Fruitvale back in 1985.
My mother told me about it. I remember I was 7.
The first thing my mother asked me when I told her about this, what happened at the BART station, she says, well, what were you doing at the BART station so late at night?
So I learned about sex and child rape and all that at the same moment.
As always happens, you have to go through the humiliation of going to the rape test kit, going to Highland Hospital.
And it really shocked me. Much more than my parents realized, because I was pretty much stunned by that. And then we never talked about it again.
I mean, these are horrible, horrible, invasive things to have happen to you.
Like my question was, how could he do that? How could somebody do that? And it occurred that it felt like he must not have seen her as a person. And I just could not believe that didn't, like, we should stop the whole world, stop the whole city, and find this guy. And nothing happened at all.
And I encountered the same kind of dismissive attitude from both the cops and from the BART police.
Not recognizing this is a human, a little girl, who is going to be affected by what's happening here. And people talk to even women about it most of my life, and they go, just don't talk about this. It's just too awful, and there's nothing we can do.
And as women, again, we don't talk about it too much, right? We don't know how to share. It's uncomfortable with men, with other women. They often get uncomfortable with it because often women tend to ask you what you did to deserve it, to make sure that they know that they're safe and it would never happen to them. As Marco's describing to me his story, I began to cry because it hit me so hard, this feeling of, yes, the same thing has happened to me and it's happened to millions of women and there's no closure, there's no resolution. But here was an incident where somebody was telling me, and it was a man who's telling me this profound story of how he had encountered something similar to my experience, and it just, all the grief and pain just kind of just unloaded in that moment.
Well, I just kept going at it because, got it. I have to. I normally make armatures for clay pieces, and I did that for 20 years. Worked out systems for getting very close to the surface of a sculpture, so they only had to put a little clay on it. And so you'd get these wire frames that were very close to the sculpture itself, and people would say, that's beautiful, without the clay. These large sculptures are an evolution to that, where the surface of the piece is the metal mesh. A lot of times people would come and see this work, and it was very difficult to look at it if it's life-size. Is that okay to look at them? Because in our culture, it's not okay to look at them, but you should be looking at them, right? I mean, there's all this attention, trying to get your attention, but you're not supposed to be looking. It's just And when I thought of this large scale and the mesh, it's not skin, you can see through it, then you can actually look, and it's okay to look. It's okay to just stare at them.
What he was attracted to sculpting was women expressing themselves, being themselves. He doesn't pose them.
Pretty much every image of women has some kind of sexual connotation.
He would create a safe space for them and ask them to just do whatever they want. They might be sad, they might be happy, they might be angry.
What I could do is do sculptures of women just being themselves, just showing their humanity.
The Bliss Project is all sculptures from one particular woman named Deja Solis.
That's a funny story. I was in Blockbuster Video in Pacific Grove, and I just looked down the row and I saw this guy looking at me, and it was kind of dark even. I was like, okay, I'm going that way. Anyways, he followed me into Trader Joe's with his portfolio and showed me his work and asked me if I'd like to model.
At first, you just thought, of course, like, do you want to come see my etchings? You know, like it was some pickup.
I was pretty skeptical when I started modeling for Marco, say the first day, I was confused, like, so what do I do, you know? And I could say the part that made me really comfortable was just, you know, feeling safe with him. I remember he asked me one question. He said, do you think you could be your most authentic self all the time and represent, you know, this energy that you're putting out for these statues? And I thought, of course, I could be my authentic self, but as it turns out, you know, life throws you all these curveballs, and it's really hard to continually be honest with yourself, much less the world. So, yeah, I think that's like the greatest, you know, question anyone can ask you. Can you be present with your life every single day? That's not easy. And so it was a great challenge, and it's taught me so much about myself just having somebody ask me that question. Finding that internal, just, like hit it, like that place where you're happy and you're stretched and you're powerful. That was fire, you know, and stretching into my fullness, arching back, feeling safe to be vulnerable, heart open. I'm a 6-foot-tall woman that doesn't need to hide my shoulders and my area that is here to show up in love, and to not be afraid of my womanness, and to feel safe that this is who I am.
It only lasted a minute in her real life, but the sculpture says it all the time.
San Leandro is a city that's really like a town. We have about 90,000 people.
Which has been kind of sleepy and in its industrial space for a long time, but had kind of lost the security of that and needed to look to a new future.
We're going now from being an older population to a younger population. We've always been a maker city, but we're going from making, you know, cars, automobiles, to high-tech things now and innovative things. Not that the other things weren't innovative, but it's a different thread that we're going, and so it's nothing to be scared of.
And San Leandro has some rock star women leaders.
We have a majority of women directors, and even our city council are women in this city. I was hired to attract investment and businesses to San Leandro relative to Lit San Leandro, a 10 gigabit per second fiber optic loop. But I realized in coming here that wasn't going to do it. What we needed to create was a reason for those companies to come here around an innovation ecosystem. We needed to create a great place for people to live, work, and to play.
When I first saw it, I was speechless, and I had to have Marco and Julia usher me up to it.
It reminded me of meeting my wife the first time, and it's almost like, wow, love at first sight.
And today, Truth is Beauty is an iconic emblem of the transition and the transformation of San Leandro, retaining our hardware and our manufacturing ethos and our jobs and growing that into the future. Her architecture, which is so amazing, it's 13,000 pounds of stainless steel mesh, 20,000 connecting rods lit up with all these LED lights. They were already thinking, whoa, what an attraction this would be for the tech campus. And wow, she's, you know, for a city that makes things, this is an amazing sculpture. And the LED lights are all about technology. It really kind of brings together the software and the hardware and the story of our city in a really great way. Whereas Gay and I were looking at this and understanding the story.
Julia said something like, this is something that lives in silence. It lives in the shadows, and we need to have the conversation. And so many women have had some episode of sexual violence in their lifetime, and they don't talk about it. And what I heard was Debbie in a very quiet voice saying, that's my story. And I had her tell me her story. And both of us were crying, and both of us were saying, if that happened as a result of that conversation, this is powerful.
This is the moment to have these conversations, and we are so thrilled to be part of bringing those conversations to life and to bring the transformation that we think is not only part of the city, but part of our company as well.
So the two of us looked at each other that day and we said, she's coming. We don't know how she's going to get here, but we know we're going to make it happen.
I hope that our young girls and boys really understand the meaning of this, that women deserve equity, they deserve safety, they deserve to be empowered, they deserve everything that this great country offers.
I remember inviting Marco and Julia to the site where there's just dirt. There's nothing here, just dirt and grass and a taxi stand with a guy with umbrellas sitting there in the middle of the site. And I said, God, would they think this is a good idea to have a sculpture here?
One of the industries that there's a dearth of women's voices is in technology.
Tech employment is our future. And if it's not including 51% of the population, then I think we have a problem.
Having a sculpture of a woman expressing herself with this message right there in a tech campus couldn't be more perfect.
Working with Marco and Julia is almost like talking to your future in-laws, right? It's trying to get their approval, trying to get their consensus, trying to get her to say, we're good enough. I am good enough. The site is good enough. The tech campus is good enough. The city is good enough.
We can talk about the office and the campus and attracting tech tenants, but without Truth is Beauty, it's an office park near a train station, and that's a really good thing to be. But with Truth is Beauty, it becomes a place. It becomes a place that means something. It becomes a place that demonstrates the power of big ideas and the power of taking risks to show up with your full self and say, this is who we are, this is what we're figuring out, and we're in this process together.
It does feel like we're the backdrop for her. This entire campus, right? We build this for her.
She's the center of the story of transformation that's happening throughout San Leandro that has taken many, many people to put together. I mean, these are creative ways of thinking that are very unique. Creating these spaces where radical things can happen, that we're not afraid of these radical things happening, can actually push our goals, push our transformation, push to where we want to go.
I would never have thought that a city would embrace this message, that they would have the guts to look at this.
That's an artist's dream. They're not just wanting to put the beautiful metal sculpture up, but they want to talk about our message and why we were doing it and why it's important. And, you know, like, how could we turn that down?
Truth is beauty, because truth is valued in a world safe for women. What would the world look like if women were safe? Truth. 1 out of every 6 American women have been the victims of a completed or attempted rape in their lifetime. Truth. Young women ages 16 to 9, look around at our daughters here today, are 4 times more likely than the general population to be victims of rape, attempted rape, or sexual assault. Truth. 21% of transgender college students have been sexually assaulted, compared to 18% of non-transgender female college students. Truth. Every 109 seconds, an American is sexually assaulted. Truth. And every 8 minutes, that victim is a child. Meanwhile, only 6 out of every 1,000 perpetrators will end up in prison. Enough is enough. Truth is beauty was created by Marco Cochrane as an invitation to the viewer to look past her exterior into the steely strength, grace, intelligence, and power of a woman who feels safe. The embrace of Truth is Beauty by the City of San Leandro is a clarion call to those who will listen. This community has the opportunity together to take action to end assault and violence against women and girls, creating a world where everyone can live fully and thrive. What would the world be like if women were safe? I invite you to join with us to explore this potential together. This is a good day. I am so thrilled that today, on October 18th, my sisters in the Domestic Violence Task Force will stand with me and with us, side by side, to light the candles and start the drumbeat, literally the whisper that we hope grow into crescendo. What would the world be like if women were safe? What would the world be like if women were safe?
This is like a flashpoint for transformation.
And it raised the bar, hopefully, for the community, raised the bar for those of us who work in the community, and raised the bar for those of us who try to create something.
Your most authentic truth is the greatest beauty you could share.
That's for everyone.
And us has to be all of us now.
I'm so proud and so pleased.